Welcome back. It's Andrew, your crypto guy on the internet, and this video is specifically for Raini Studios, the people behind Lords of Light. Now, I made a couple videos about this game almost a year ago because I thought it was brilliant, and I quickly became one of their top players, and I noticed that it's dying. Their token is dying, their game is dying, and they seem to be diverting their efforts into objectively worse ideas while abandoning what I think is a game that can last for decades. So I'm going to show up both as one of their top players and as a former marketing director with some advice. And it's going to be a little harsh, but just know that I'm doing this because I care about you. I'm going to yell at you. I'm going to go over what you've been doing, and then I'm going to give you some solutions. And you can take it or leave it. But this is my last swing with you guys, okay? So to review, this is the RST token, and it should not look like this. I started playing around here. This is the last time they created any content for this game. And the price was doing great. Now, this wasn't even good. This was like 20 cards that nobody played until they nerfed everything to force us to play it. So the current state of the game is there's a handful of people left. It's like me, Endless Progress, and Cryptic Witcher looking at each other like, why are we still here? And whenever something performs well, it gets nerfed. So we're punished for good ideas, but then no new content is added to the game to offset that. And that's what keeps a card game fresh. So in these trading card games, the strongest examples that have stood the test of time are Magic the Gathering and Hearthstone. These are games that have been around. Hearthstone's like 12 years, Magic since the 90s. And they regularly pump out new content. Like every 3 months, there's a fat new set of stuff. And that can be difficult because how are you going to come up with all this new content? And that's why Lords of Light stuck out to me, because the content writes itself. You just borrow it from the crypto sector, which is always banging out new content every day. There's new memes, there's new influencers, there's new scandals, there's new storylines to take from and create a card out of. So your ideas for creating content are limitless. And I think we should focus on that because card games need new content. Your token should be constantly going up like that every time there's something new. And when you give up on your game, people give up on the token. So that's what you're seeing. It's not the market. Well, the market's not on our side right now. Yeah, there's a little bit of that. But if you create a product that has demand, your token goes up because people need it to play this exceptional game. Raini has largely ignored Lords of Light, and instead they're working on some other stuff like Lucha Throwdown, which is another card game based on luchador wrestling. Okay, and then we've also been working on a John Jones Brawler, which is like a side-scrolling beat-em-up game similar to like Streets of Rage 4 but not as in-depth. Okay, sure, so it's okay to have other games when your bread and butter is bringing in good money and you have enough resources to send outward like that. But from what I see is you're bailing on your golden goose to chase pigeons. Now, as a former marketing director, and I've worked with hundreds of companies, I was a lead designer and then an art director and then a marketing director and an author in the background of that. So to tell you more about myself, so I'm not just some shitter yelling at you, I'm recently your top player that only did that so you would see me and hear what I'm about to tell you. I love your game, but I don't know why, and I'm about to leave. I was a Hearthstone Legend player for nearly 10 years in a row, winning local tournaments. I left that to play this. Before Hearthstone, I was playing Magic. I stopped playing Magic because I didn't like smelling Magic players. So I moved to digital card games. But when I saw Lords of Light, I went, this game is going to be the best one. It's the only one worth playing in terms of crypto games, and they're dropping the ball for these two other projects. Now, step one of marketing, the first question you ask is, who's the target audience? Who is this for? So Lords of Light, you have all these demographics of types of people. So you have video game players and crypto people. Now, fortunately, often that's the same person, so these mix together well. The cross-section is your viable audience, all right? Then you get trading card games. It's a very specific type of game. That personality, that type of person, generally has a higher than average intelligence, but they might be a little weird, like a touch of autism or something. It's not like a Call of Duty or a sports game that normal people play. It's, you gotta think hard the whole time. And not everybody enjoys that. But it's a type of game that can last for decades if you continue to pump new content. So it's theoretically the most profitable, long-lasting type of game. Trading card games. So now we're the audience is getting a little smaller, but it's still pretty viable. And then you have blockchain gamers. There's like 50 of these people on Earth that actually give their money to what they're doing. And that's really small. Now, fortunately, Raini has solved this problem for the most part by releasing their games on a big platform like Epic Games Store or Steam pretty soon, or like consoles. We're working on it. I'm a crypto guy and a gamer, and I like trading card games, but I don't want anything to do with crypto games. I don't understand using the wallet, and I gotta transfer from Beam to C-Chain and then back to Tether. Oh, that's the wrong Tether. I lost my money. Now, fortunately, I have my brother, Crypto Face. He helped me out after I screwed up, but normal people aren't gonna have that. So, I'm kind of overlooking how niche blockchain gamers actually make your audience, so I'm just gonna ignore that. So you do have a pretty good audience to work with. Now let's compare that to Lucha Throwdown. You have your video game players and your crypto people again. They cross over. It's another trading card game, okay. Blockchain gamers, we solved that. But then on a completely different planet, we have Lucha Libre fans. Now that's a specific style of professional wrestling that's big in parts of the world that aren't the United States. So if you're trying to get the crypto audience, that's where the money is. Most of that money is in the United States, so you've already given up a big chunk of your audience. Now, I know of it a little bit, from like Rey Mysterio or somebody who popped in, WWE, but that's about as far as I've gone as a casual American observer. Now, there are people who love Lucha Libre, but are they these people as well? And so I'm going like, how much crossover do we really have? Like this little cross section? I don't know if this game is going to make it. If I was an investor, I go, that's not really an audience, that's too small of a crew. Now, I will say, the graphic designer who cranked this logo treatment out on the wrestling belt, that is a 10 out of 10. You did a great job there. It's too bad this game isn't going to last. And then finally, we have the Jon Jones Brawler. Okay, so we have, who's this audience? Video game players, crypto people, they're often one and the same. Action beat-em-up games, they're very approachable, like, they were big in the Sega Genesis days. Like, I loved Streets of Rage 2, and they made a Streets of Rage 4 for the PlayStation, and it's perfect! It's exactly what I wanted, but the game is over quick. You're in and out in an hour, and you may never play it again. Now, Streets of Rage 4 offers you, like, bonus characters you can unlock to kind of keep you around a little longer. But usually beat 'em up games, you're in and out in a week tops, even if you really like the game. So the life cycle isn't that long with this premise. You're kind of losing me. The blockchain gamers, yeah, we're done with that. But then MMA fans, that's a big audience. And they're often roommates with gamers and crypto people. So it's not that big of a leap to bring all of these people in. I can see the target audience being big enough to make a project for this. Now let's talk about the life cycle of all three games. Jon Jones Brawler, you have the initial novelty blast of all the MMA media jumping in. Hey, Jon Jones is in a video game. This is going to bring a lot of eyeballs on Raini Studios. It will for just a moment. So you get this big stab of initial hype, and then people play the game on their phone for 10 minutes while they're waiting for the bus, and then they're done with it, and it's dead. So you have a short game and a short lifespan. You can't really expand on a brawler that much. You can't really extend the gameplay of it in a meaningful way. And then a big chunk is going to have to get paid to John Jones. I know what he's like. He didn't come cheap. And if you're going to put a celebrity as your anchor for your product, John Jones. Now, who is this guy? He's arguably the greatest of all time when it comes to MMA fighting, but he takes one fight per presidential term, he holds up the division, and then he has DUIs and he smacks his girlfriend around. Like, I don't know if I would invest long-term into a John Jones Brawler-esque project. So this is a maybe for me. I can see justifying this large flash in the pan to try to bring some eyeballs to Raini, but then we'd want them to divert into our other games that are completely different. So this is a maybe from me. The Lucha Throwdown, just observing this, your target audience is way too small, and your creative space is limited. So I'm thinking of a card game that needs to have new content regularly. What are you going to borrow from? So we have Lucha Libre Wrestling. Okay, so we have like maybe 20 wrestlers that are household names for the 12 people that are interested in all of these things at the same time, right? So then we make those cards, and then the next set is like some moves. So here's the lariat card, and here's the suplex card, and this is from the top rope. You get +2 attack or whatever. Okay, then what? We're out of ideas. That's the end of the card game. So I think it's a little stronger. It lasts a little longer than John Jones. Not nearly as many people will care about this, but it could live a little longer. But then after that, it's doomed. It's doomed. Now compare that to Lords of Light. Now here's my logic behind this. You have an infinite creative space to pull from in the crypto sector. The interest can fluctuate a little bit with the crypto market. People show up and they leave, right? But it has life as long as crypto exists, because that's where we're pulling our content. With Magic the Gathering or Hearthstone, they have to hire an army of writers to just come up with shit off the top of their head. You don't have to do any of that. Your audience grows exponentially through, I call them cameo cards, where you make, most of your cards should be this, where you make a card based on an influencer or a name in the crypto space. And you've already done a bunch of these, and that's what made me play the game, okay? And you have like SBF and Elon and Ben Cowan, like just off the top of my head. These were cool. So like if you follow Ben Cowan, he'll go, hey, welcome to the Cryptoverse. You know, here's this card game that I'm featured in. You go, oh, I'll try it, right? And then you jump in and now you're like, this is a cool game. I recognize this card, and oh, that's the fart coin card. That's fun. I remember that. I used to have that. I got wrecked. So you always have something to make a card after, and this saves you tons of money on your advertising budget. Every other game has to like pay for ad space. You don't really. Instead, you let these influencers who you're featuring in the game talk about your game. And it doesn't have to be, you know, big time guys that are going to want money for using their likeness. You can hit like upcoming names who do great work, like Jason Casper, super positive guy. You make a card of him and he's got a plunger and he shows up and he buffs everybody on the board because he's a positive force. You could have a Trader Geo card who comes out and he's like, you're too bullish. And then he just kind of mellows everyone out for a second. You could have a Crypto Guy OTI card who shows up and does something very powerful and then goes dormant for 3 or 4 cards. Like, where did he go? So we don't have to pay these influencers in dollars. Instead, you go, Jason, we want to put you in our game. And he's like, I'm going to be in a video game? He gets enthusiastic because of course he would. That's awesome. You pay him like an affiliate where he'll have his own little code like Casper or something. So when one of his viewers downloads Lords of Light, they put Casper in there. We send him like a little RST, or you get an in-game card, a bonus. You get to play the Jason Casper card for using his code. I'm just coming up with this now. And then every time we get a new player with that promo code, we send Jason a piece of the action. Now Jason has all this RST, which right now is worth nothing. But if you're generating buzz, buzz is money. Now, right now, no one's talking about you because you're not reaching out to anyone in this space anymore. You're not creating any new content. The last time you did, you were making some money and then you gave up. When you create buzz, all these influencers are talking about your game because they're in the game. Get Crypto Face in there. I got a dozen card ideas for him. Flopping Groper can do something. I'll make cards for you. Like, this is super easy to come up with. Okay, Luna. Remember the Luna collapse? Where's the card for that? That should be a moon with a giant crack through it that just blows up the board. Both players, everything in the game takes 5 damage because we all got wrecked by the Luna collapse. Super easy. Just came up with it myself right now. There's no limit to the creative ideas. There's endless content, and you need endless content for a card game to keep going. And this is great. You don't have to write any of it. I'm telling you, you have a huge advantage over Magic and Hearthstone. They have to actually come up with stuff. You don't. You just check crypto Twitter and say, we're going to make a crypto banter card. It's a bunch of guys that kind of like all say different stuff, and you know they probably get it wrong. You can make a Jim Cramer card where he comes out and says he's going to do something and the exact opposite happens. So if I were an outside consultant, which I am for many companies now, I could just show up and yell at your boss for you so you don't have to. I'll be the bad guy. But number one is, look, these other 2 games, I'm sure they're going to be cute and fun, but I showed you why they're a mistake compared to your absolute banger of an idea here. These are like ideas you throw around when you're stoned that got pushed too far. We should have said, yeah, a Mexican wrestling digital card game on an obscure blockchain. Let someone else lose money on that. We're not going to do that one. But you all went, well, all right, the boss wants it, so we're going to do it. How about let's call up John Jones and just have him beat up people for 20 minutes, and hopefully that works out. Like, no. This first idea is the best one I've heard. It's the only blockchain crypto game worth playing. The whole sector sucks. This is the best one there is. If you're not sure what to do, let's say you work for this company and you're stretched thin, you got way too much going on, there's not enough money coming in, it's hard to get some new capital because your token looks like shit. Here's what I would do. If those other 2 games are almost done, release them, publish them, make whatever you can off it, but then everybody comes back to focus entirely on the Lords of Light. If you don't have enough help, maybe the people up top are just kind of done with this. Bring me in. I will put all of you on my fucking shoulders and take us to the promised land where you belong. This is the best game idea I've heard in years. You're going to be the next Skyrim. You're going to be the next Magic. You're going to be the next Hearthstone if you focus on this game. There should be new content every 3 months. Not a crappy set that no one plays, 12 cards that suck. We're talking 60 cards plus every 3 months because you have people that their whole job is just to reach out to influencers, draw up a card, and we bang it out in a test server and we balance it the best we can. But the cool part is you dump all these cards, these new ones, and your players they figure out what cards work too well or not, and then you can nerf stuff if you want. Nerfs and balancing is natural as part of a card game if you get new content. And that keeps people hooked. It keeps people talking about it, and it gives your token a purpose. No, I'm only yelling at you because I believe in you. I know you're the number 1 crypto-based game. No one else should come close to you. If you just focus on your golden goose, no more chasing pigeons. You have a goose laying golden eggs that you're letting starve to death in the back of the barn. Maybe it takes an obscure player of yours to yell at you, but I see what you're doing from the outside in. Now, I don't know the whole story. Fill me in the comments. Email me or something. But the bottom line is I know you can be the best game in the space for decades if you just focus your efforts where they need to be, and that's on Lords of Light. Thank you.